Every single night while you sleep, something invisible is happening inside your eyes. Not slowly, not gently, rapidly. After the age of 60, your retinal cells lose their primary antioxidant protection at a rate that most eye doctors never explain to you clearly. By the time you notice the blurring at the edges, the headlights that seem blindingly bright, the menus you have to hold at arm's length, a significant portion of that protective layer is already gone. And here is what makes this worse. Age-related macular degeneration now affects more than 11 million Americans. It is the leading cause of permanent central vision loss in adults over 60. And a landmark study published in Ophthalmology, the official journal of the American Academy of Ophthalmology, found that dietary carotenoid intake was directly associated with a 35% lower risk of advanced AMD progression. 35%, not from an expensive surgery, not from a prescription that costs hundreds of dollars a month, from food, specifically from 4 cooked vegetables that most people already have in their kitchen right now, but are almost certainly preparing in a way that delivers a fraction of the benefit they could be getting. In the next 14 minutes, I am going to show you exactly which 4 vegetables protect your aging eyes most powerfully, why cooking them the right way unlocks compounds your body cannot access from raw vegetables, and the precise timing and pairing method that makes the difference between absorbing 5% or nearly 100% of their eye protective nutrients. I have spent years working with older adults on evidence-based nutrition approaches to vision preservation, and what I am about to share is the kind of practical research-grounded information that most people only discover after things have already gone wrong. You deserve to know it now. Before we go further, drop a comment right now with just your age, nothing else, just your age. I want to see who is watching this because what I am about to share applies very differently depending on whether you are 62, 72, or 82. The urgency is not the same at every stage, and I want to be able to speak directly to where you are. And if you have ever noticed that your eyes feel gritty or dry when you wake up in the morning, that sandpaper sensation before you have even gotten out of bed, add the word dry to your comment. That symptom is more important than most people realize, and you will understand exactly why in about 4 minutes. Here's a scene that plays out in eye clinics across this country every single week. A 67-year-old comes in for a routine checkup. Vision has been gradually declining for 2 years. Night driving has become stressful. Reading requires more effort than it used to. The diagnosis is early stage macular degeneration. The doctor explains that there is no cure, recommends a standard ARE DS2 supplement, and schedules a follow-up in 6 months. The patient leaves with a prescription for supplements and very little else. What that patient was not told is that the same nutrients in those supplements, lutein, zeaxanthin, vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, are available in whole food form in concentrations the body absorbs more effectively than isolated supplements, particularly when those foods are prepared correctly. That gap between what the published research supports and what older adults are actually being told is not a conspiracy. It is a time problem. A 15-minute appointment cannot cover everything, but that gap is costing people the vision they do not have to lose. The research on dietary carotenoids in eye health is not new. The age-related eye disease studies, AREDS and ARE-DS2, conducted by the National Eye Institute, tracked more than 4,200 participants over a decade. The findings were unambiguous. Specific nutrients taken consistently meaningfully reduce the risk of AMD progression. And the dietary sources of those nutrients are the exact vegetables we are going to discuss today. This is not fringe science. This is published, replicated, and accepted. It is just not being communicated clearly enough to the people who need it most. Now, if you are someone who values understanding the why behind the numbers, not just being told what to eat, what I am about to explain will change how you think about eye health entirely. Your eye at 65 is not simply an older version of your eye at 40. 3 specific changes make dietary choices far more critical after 60. First, macular pigment density declines. Your macula, the zone of your retina responsible for sharp central vision, is protected by a pigment layer made almost entirely of lutein and zeaxanthin. Think of it as a UV coating on a quality lens. When it thins, the lens is exposed. This protective layer decreases significantly in most adults beginning in their late 50s, and your body cannot produce lutein or zeaxanthin on its own. Every milligram must come from food. Second, the lens loses its antioxidant defense. The crystalline lens depends on vitamin C and glutathione to stay clear. As we age, these concentrations drop, and lens proteins become vulnerable to oxidation. The cloudiness we call a cataract. A study published in Ophthalmology in 2016, following 1,000 pairs of twins over a decade, found that dietary vitamin C intake was associated with a 33% lower risk of cataract progression. Third, retinal circulation slows. The tiny capillaries supplying oxygen to your photoreceptor cells become less efficient with age. Your retina consumes more oxygen per gram of tissue than almost any other organ. When flow drops, cells begin sending distorted signals your brain interprets as blurred, dim, or fragmented vision. These changes are not inevitable in their severity. They are nutritional in nature. And that is exactly why what you eat and how you prepare it matters more after 60 than at any other point in your life. Number 4, carrots. I know what you're thinking. Carrots and eye health, you have heard this since childhood. It sounds like folklore at this point, but stay with me because most people who believe they are benefiting from carrots are actually absorbing a fraction of what this vegetable can deliver. And the reason comes down entirely to preparation. Carrots are the richest common dietary source of beta-carotene, the precursor your body converts into vitamin A. And vitamin A is not optional for your eyes. It is the raw material your retina uses to produce rhodopsin, the photosensitive protein packed into your rod cells. Rod cells are responsible for low light and peripheral vision. Without adequate rhodopsin, your eyes cannot adapt when you move from a bright room into a dim hallway. Headlights at night become blinding halos. The edges of your visual field go dark. Before the center does, here is the mechanism most people miss. Beta-carotene in a raw carrot is locked inside the plant's cell walls. Tough cellulose structures your digestive system cannot efficiently break down. A study published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that beta-carotene bioavailability from raw carrots was approximately 3 to 4%. Cooking, even light steaming or roasting, ruptures those cell walls and increases bioavailability to as high as 39%. That is not a modest improvement. That is a tenfold difference from the same vegetable. But cooking alone is not enough. Beta-carotene is fat soluble. Without a fat source present during digestion, the majority of what you absorb cannot be transported into your bloodstream. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition confirmed that adding a fat source to cooked carrots increased carotenoid absorption by up to 5 times compared to eating them without fat. The fix is specific. Roast or steam your carrots until tender. Pair them with a teaspoon of olive oil, a small amount of butter, or avocado. Eat them in the evening because your body's tissue repair processes, including retinal cell maintenance, are most active during sleep. Give your body the raw materials before that window opens. 2 to 3 servings per week, cooked with fat in the evening. That is the difference between a habit that sounds healthy and one that actually is. Number 3, broccoli. If carrots build the raw material for night vision, broccoli is the bodyguard standing between your retina and the slow, silent damage that most eye diseases begin with: chronic inflammation. Here is what concerns me most about how eye disease progresses in older adults. It does not announce itself. There is no pain, no sudden event. There is just a quiet, sustained inflammatory process in the tiny blood vessels of the retina, weakening capillary walls, disrupting the flow of oxygen and nutrients to photoreceptor cells, and degrading the tight junction proteins that keep your blood-retinal barrier intact. By the time you notice something is wrong, that process has often been running for years. Broccoli interrupts that process through 2 distinct mechanisms, and this is where it becomes genuinely impressive. First, broccoli is one of the most concentrated food sources of lutein and zeaxanthin available. A single half-cup serving of cooked broccoli delivers approximately 1,600 micrograms of these carotenoids, the exact compounds your macula depends on for its protective pigment layer. The AREDS2 study, the largest, most rigorous trial ever conducted on nutritional supplementation for eye disease, used 10 milligrams of lutein and 2 milligrams of zeaxanthin daily. Consistent dietary intake from sources like broccoli builds toward those protective levels over time. Second, broccoli contains sulforaphane, a sulfur compound that does something extraordinary. Rather than acting as a direct antioxidant itself, sulforaphane activates the NRF2 pathway, a genetic switch that turns on your body's own antioxidant production system. Think of it like the difference between carrying 1 bucket of water to fight a fire versus switching on a sprinkler system. The effect is broader, longer lasting, and more powerful than any individual antioxidant can deliver alone. A study published in Investigative Ophthalmology and Visual Science found that sulforaphane significantly protected retinal cells from oxidative damage in laboratory conditions, and research in human subjects has shown associations between cruciferous vegetable consumption and reduced risk of both cataracts and AMD. Preparation matters here too. Lightly steam broccoli until just tender, bright green, with a slight bite remaining. Overcooking destroys sulforaphane and reduces the bioavailability of lutein and zeaxanthin. Pair with olive oil 3 to 4 times per week. The consistency is the medicine. Number 2, kale. This is where we move from protection to what researchers describe as the most direct dietary intervention available for macular degeneration. And the reason comes down to a single fact. Kale contains more lutein per gram than almost any other food on earth. 1/2 cup of cooked kale delivers approximately 10,300 micrograms of lutein and zeaxanthin combined. To put that in context, that is more than the full daily therapeutic dose used in the ARE DS2 clinical trials in a single serving of a vegetable that costs less than $2. Now, here's why this number matters so much for adults over 60. Macular pigment optical density, MPOD, is the clinical measurement of how thick and protective that carotenoid layer in your macula actually is. Research consistently shows that higher MPOD is associated with lower risk of AMD, better contrast sensitivity, reduced glare disability, and improved visual acuity in low light. A study published in Nutrients in 2017 followed adults aged 60 to 80 who consumed lutein and zeaxanthin-rich foods daily for 12 weeks and found a statistically significant increase in MPOD measurements at the end of the trial. Your macular pigment does not maintain itself. It is constantly being depleted by light exposure, oxidative stress, and normal metabolic turnover. Every day you go without adequate lutein and zeaxanthin, that protective layer gets thinner. Every day you supply it, you are actively rebuilding what time and exposure take away. But kale has a preparation trap that undoes much of this benefit for most people who eat it. Raw kale contains oxalic acid, a compound that binds to minerals and can reduce nutrient absorption. More importantly, lutein and zeaxanthin in raw kale are embedded in protein complexes that your digestive enzymes struggle to break apart efficiently. Light steaming or sautéing at moderate heat breaks those bonds, releasing the carotenoids into a far more bioavailable form. And critically, you must add fat. Without dietary fat present, fat-soluble carotenoids cannot be packaged into the chylomicrons your intestinal cells use to transport them into the bloodstream. A teaspoon of olive oil, a small amount of avocado. This is not optional. This is the mechanism. Sauté kale in olive oil with a clove of garlic, 3 to 4 minutes over medium heat. Eat it with dinner 3 to 4 nights a week. That is not a complicated protocol. That is biology working in your favor. Number 1, zucchini. This is the one that surprises people, and I understand why. Zucchini does not appear on most eye health lists. It does not have the name recognition of kale or the mythology of carrots. It is quiet, mild, and easy to overlook. But for addressing what I believe is the most underappreciated driver of age-related vision decline, dry eye disease, and the retinal dehydration that accompanies it, zucchini is extraordinarily effective. Here is the problem most people do not connect to their vision. Dry eye disease affects an estimated 16 million Americans, with prevalence rising sharply after the age of 60. But this is not just about discomfort. Chronic dry eye destabilizes the tear film, the thin 3-layer coating that covers the surface of your eye. That tear film is not merely lubricating tissue, it is your eye's first optical surface. When it is unstable, light entering the eye scatters irregularly. The result is exactly what so many older adults describe. Vision that fluctuates throughout the day, blurring that clears temporarily when you blink, a gritty sensation that is worst in the morning. And underneath the surface, when the corneal epithelium, the outermost cell layer of the eye, is chronically dehydrated, its tight junctions break down. Inflammatory signals penetrate. Oxidative damage accelerates. The condition that starts as discomfort becomes a pathway to structural deterioration. Zucchini is more than 94% water. But what makes it exceptional is a combination of that hydration with vitamin C, manganese, and a meaningful contribution of lutein and zeaxanthin. Vitamin C is essential for collagen synthesis in the cornea and sclera. Manganese activates the superoxide dismutase enzyme inside your retinal cells, one of the primary defenses against free radical damage at the cellular level. A clinical study published in the British Journal of Ophthalmology examined dietary patterns and dry eye disease severity in adults over 65. Higher vegetable-based fluid intake and antioxidant consumption were independently associated with reduced dry eye severity scores and improved tear film stability. And here is the preparation principle that matters most for zucchini. Light sautéing in olive oil preserves the vitamin C content, which is heat sensitive but survives brief cooking, while breaking down the cellulose structure enough to improve digestibility. The olive oil simultaneously provides the fat needed for carotenoid absorption and adds oleic acid, which has its own documented anti-inflammatory properties at the ocular surface. Eat zucchini in the evening. Your body performs its deepest tissue maintenance during sleep, and the hydration and antioxidant compounds in zucchini are most useful when your eyes are in repair mode, not fighting the next day's light exposure. For older adults who have struggled with chronic dry eyes, with that burning sensation when they close their eyes at night, with vision that never quite clears fully in the morning, this is where a small, consistent dietary habit can produce a change that feels disproportionately significant. Not dramatic overnight, but steady, cumulative, and real. Before we talk about exactly what to do tonight, I want to say something that matters more than any individual nutrient we have discussed. You are not helpless in this. The narrative around age-related vision loss, that it is inevitable, that it is genetic, is not the full picture. The ARE-DS2 study did not find that nutrition slightly nudged the numbers. It found a 26% reduction in the risk of advanced AMD progression with adequate lutein and zeaxanthin intake. That is the difference between maintaining functional central vision and losing it. Your eyes respond to what you eat. Every time you prepare kale correctly and pair it with olive oil, you are delivering a measured therapeutic dose of macular protection your body is designed to use. You are not too old to start. What changes with age is the urgency, not the possibility. Here is exactly what to do. Starting tonight, the 4 vegetables work best when combined into a single evening meal. Here is the protocol that delivers the most complete nutritional payload to your eyes during the overnight repair window. In a pan over medium heat, add 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Saute half a medium zucchini, sliced, for 3 minutes until just softened. Add 1 medium carrot, thinly sliced, and cook for another 4 to 5 minutes. Add a handful of broccoli florets and a generous handful of chopped kale. Add 2 tablespoons of water or low sodium vegetable broth. Cover and steam for 3 to 4 minutes until broccoli is tender but still bright green. Season lightly with sea salt, black pepper, and fresh lemon juice. Eat this meal between 6 and 8 in the evening, approximately 60 to 90 minutes before sleep. That timing puts the peak absorption window directly inside your body's overnight repair cycle. Do this 3 to 4 evenings per week, not every night. Consistency over time matters far more than perfection on any single day. 3 additional rules that determine whether these vegetables actually reach your eyes. Rule 1, never skip the fat. Every carotenoid in this meal, lutein, zeaxanthin, beta-carotene, is fat soluble. Without olive oil or another fat source present during digestion, the majority of these compounds pass through your system unabsorbed. The olive oil is not optional. It is the delivery mechanism. Rule 2, do not overcook. Gentle heat is the goal. Overcooked vegetables lose sulforaphane entirely and degrade vitamin C significantly. Bright color and slight texture remaining means the nutrients are intact. Rule 3, avoid pairing with high calcium foods in the same meal. Research has shown that very high calcium intake in the same meal can compete with carotenoid absorption. Save the dairy for a different meal and let this vegetable combination do its work uninterrupted. Assess your symptoms honestly before you start. Write down where you are today: morning blurriness on a scale of 1 to 10, nighttime glare sensitivity, dryness when you wake. Do the same assessment at 30 days and at 90 days. Biology has a timeline. Structural improvement in the macula takes 8 to 12 weeks of consistent intake to measure. But many people notice reduced morning dryness and less end-of-day eye strain within 2 to 3 weeks. Give it the time it needs. Here is what you now understand that most people your age do not. Vision decline after 60 is real, but it is not simply a passive, inevitable process that happens to you. It is driven by specific, identifiable mechanisms: macular pigment depletion, lens oxidation, retinal inflammation, tear film instability, and those mechanisms respond to nutrition. The 4 vegetables we covered tonight, carrots, broccoli, kale, and zucchini, each target a different part of that picture. Carrots rebuild rhodopsin for night vision. Broccoli activates your eye's internal antioxidant system and contributes directly to macular pigment. Kale delivers the highest concentration of lutein and zeaxanthin available in any common food. And zucchini addresses the hydration and cellular repair processes that most eye health conversations miss entirely. Together, prepared correctly and eaten at the right time, they form the most accessible, affordable, evidence-backed eye protection protocol available to you right now. Drop a comment saying "clear" if this gave you something real today. That word tells me you are ready to take this seriously. Now think of one person in your life. A parent, a partner, a close friend, someone who has been quietly struggling with their vision and accepting it as simply getting older. Send them this video right now, not later, right now. That might genuinely be the most important thing you do for their health today. Subscribe to this channel. My mission is to give you the kind of honest, research-grounded health information that most people only find after something has already gone wrong. You deserve to know it before that point. In my next video, I am going to talk about the 5 morning habits that are silently accelerating vision loss in adults over 60, including one that nearly every health-conscious person does and has no idea is damaging their retina. After years of working in this field, this one still surprises me. You will not want to miss it. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as medical advice. Eye health management must be individualized based on your complete medical history and current health status. Never delay or discontinue professional eye care based on dietary changes alone. If you are experiencing vision changes, consult a qualified eye care professional. The information presented reflects currently published research, but does not replace a thorough evaluation by a licensed healthcare provider.